client examples that I've worked with within the last year. So what you're going to notice here in the e-commerce objectives section is that all of these projects have phases to them. And phase one is obviously the starting point. But part of what my job is as a solution consultant is to say, what is the short-term must-have needs? And then what can we do to de-risk your investment by saying, hey, let's do this in phase two or phase three or phase four. So the client that we're looking at in example one here is a compost supplier distributor based in California. So they're a Sage 100 user, and they had very few product SKUs, but a very high volume of sales orders. So what they were trying to do was basically take the strategy I've alluded to a couple of times here and say, we have an existing marketing website. We have a firm that we utilize. They're doing, content strategy, social strategy, industry information, a blog, all of those things that are very marketing focused. And they just wanted to use CIMcloud as a B2B customer portal for users to log in and, obviously do things transactionally. And they were going to start with a very limited grouping of products. So you're seeing brands here. Really think of, because it's a compost distributor, these are just different product offerings. And so they were starting with three of their secondary kind of components. So not their core business. They were focusing within a very specific customer group and a very specific product line. So that was kind of a phase one objective. In phase two, they wanted to do kind of simultaneously introduce the rest of their product offering to that existing customer portal group. And then they also wanted to open up a retail site. And it's really unique. They're doing partnerships with different municipalities. So incentivizing customers to buy through them on behalf of different cities. So a very unique use case here. But basically, they wanted to start with phase one, get adoption, get success, and then move forward. Just some things that we had to account for in the project and during the sales process. This was their first time implementing an e-commerce solution. And anytime you're doing first time e-commerce, there's obviously risk involved. And the risk is really how much adoption can we get where we're getting value and offsetting operational costs and expenses and time. So there was obviously just some dipping your toe in the water considerations that had to be made. Because they were a first time e-commerce trier, there was some budget sensitivity. So, hey, we don't want to make a massive investment up front if we don't know that we're going to have adoption success. So there was obviously a need for them to keep that phase one scope as financially limited as possible. And then they also had a variety of competing projects like many of you on today's call would have, right? So you need to do a Sage upgrade. You need to get, a new warehouse management system put in place. For these guys, they had a need for a payment gateway that was compatible online. Their Sage VAR was encouraging them to do a business process review. So, hey, we're talking about e-commerce, but let's look at everything holistically. So there was a lot of different things that need to be accounted for up front, or that at least need to be considered up front before we started the project. And the outcome. So this was sold late 2021. I think that the project kicked off in December of 2021. So they went live, I think, end of March, early April. So early Q2, late Q1. With their customer portal with the limited product line offering. Between there and August 2022, they kind of focused on stabilization, improving the platform as is. And then what we did was basically rolled in the additional product lines. That's 2A, that was the easy part. And then we're currently in the implementation process of that retail site that's going to be going live, hopefully November 15th. I know that's the date that was established when I spoke with them last week. But the key thing, just looking at it here, is they went live with phase one. They got value, they got ROI for the business. They saw, different ways they could utilize the system. They got customer feedback, and then they invested further in phase two after all of that learning. So a very low risk way of trying to get value from a solution like CIMcloud. And then the second example we're going to look at here is a little bit different profile and a little bit different project. But they are a stocking distributor. So they do, apologies for that. Let me get this off the screen. I need to clean up those reminders there. But they're a stocking distributor, and they basically have three unique divisions of their business, all operating out of the same Sage 100 install. So some customers are actually using multiple company files. This customer was just using division codes. But again, just highlighting that we can handle the complexity there of multiple business divisions. So in phase one, they were looking at the cable division within their business and saying, hey, we have an existing legacy website. It has decent adoption. We are seeing a lot of issues where customers either can't fully use the system because the information isn't up to date or accurate. And there was concerns for them of saying, hey, we're doing 400 orders a month online, and we're having to manually import those into Sage 100 via visual integrator. So for them, there was just a little bit of a bottleneck on keeping the website information up to date, and then also making sure that anything on the website got back into Sage 100. So that was kind of the phase one focus, was just looking at the cable division of their business and using that as proof of concept to ultimately in phase two bring in the other business divisions. So same scope, same functional area for all three divisions in terms of e-commerce, but ultimately saying, hey, this is our key need for the cable division. And then once we get ROI and proof of concept, we'll roll this out to the other divisions. So just some things to consider, or that we had to consider. They have basically two sales channels, if you will. They are a wholesale distributor, but if any general consumer, Joe Schmo, wants to come on their website and buy products, they're perfectly fine with that. They just want the customer to create an account online so that they have a backend Sage account to tie it to, and then allow for customers to place orders, see products, etc. So they had multiple customer segments we were going after, and obviously each of those have their own considerations. The customer group specific, that's a mouthful, product offerings, but basically what their situation was is they had different customer groups. So government, contractor base, school districts. So they had all these different groups of customers for each of their different divisions. And they wanted to make sure that when customer A logged in, they saw a product offering that fit their customer group, whereas customer B logs in and sees a product offering that fits their customer group. So the notion of having account specifics or customer specific product offerings was a big thing for them. And then they did have staffing challenges. So this was, as I mentioned here in the bottom section, late in 2021. They had a couple marketing resources that also doubled up as some sales and IT resources. So they didn't just have a project team idly standing by, and we needed to bring in an implementation partner. So again, that had implications from both a budget as well as just a day-to-day X's and O's of getting the solution implemented, consideration to make there. So what was the outcome with this client? They purchased their initial phase one project in September 2021. They went live with that public site replacement for the legacy website for the cable division in January of 2022, so earlier this year. They basically took all of Q1, Q2, and most of Q3 to say, hey, we're just focusing on stabilization. We're going to focus on other projects. We're going to let the website kind of run and learn from it. And then we'll pick back up any future projects, phase two, phase three, phase four, when we're kind of through stabilizing the existing website. And so this customer actually reached out to me the other week. But basically what they wanted to do was start planning out phase two so that they could basically go into 2023 with a January, Q1 project start to replace the additional two legacy websites. So they would have a single CIMcloud platform managing and running all three websites utilizing the same Sage 100 integration. So the planning of that is probably something we'll do over the next 3 to 4 weeks. And then they'll come into the new year with that project already queued up. So using these examples, really the big thing I wanted to just kind of highlight is where I fit into the piece of helping you put together a plan and establish a long-term vision and a series of projects that ultimately work towards that long-term vision, but doing it in a way that's financially responsible and that doesn't bite off too much project scope for whatever the project team we put in place is. So two quick examples there just to kind of bring this together. I'm going to hit takeaways and then open it up for any questions that have come through during the presentation. So I'm going to just give the cliff notes here and you can read on your own. But basically, the big thing I wanted to highlight throughout today's presentation is every customer I work with is completely unique. Every business has their own challenges, their own way of utilizing Sage 100. Maybe you have UDFs, custom tables. So basically, we have out of the box standard product that's repeatable and deployable, and then we can fit it around your unique business case. I've said this 20 times, the word phase is probably burned out by now, but establishing must-haves versus maybe we'll utilize this in the future or customers may like this, but we're not sure. Establishing what those must-haves and working towards that in phase one are going to be key so that you're not making financial investments based on assumptions. And also so that we're building a solution that's going to be utilized by customers and employees. And then basically the final thing here, I know that when you're working with solutions like Matrix, there's competing solutions and projects that you want to do. Maybe you want to look at a different ERP system as your business grows. Maybe you're looking at doing an upgrade with Sage 100. But the key thing is when you're investing in e-commerce, making sure you're doing that with a solution and a company that can grow with you as your business evolves. So whether that's a planned multi-phase project like I've alluded to here, or hey, we just got acquired and we are changing our ERP system to meet the acquiring company's needs, or hey, we have leadership turnover and we've been utilizing the website like this, but the new leadership team has a different vision. And so we want to change the way that we utilize and work with CIMcloud. Again, having a vendor that's more consultative versus just, hey, here's our product. It's a one size fits all type solution. Is key for your business. So again, I really would love to speak specifically with everyone in our audience live and in the recorded audience, just to kind of frame how CIMcloud can be a fit for you individually.